Questions on anything we've looked at to this point? So I'm going to start ramping it up into high gear now. Yes, sir.
What about printing, and what about the comparison between signature and writing?
Oh, great question. Printing and the comparison between signature and writing. The typical handwriting done with their favorite pen on unlined paper, writing off the top of their head, will give you the true personality. The signature does not give you the personality. The signature gives you the persona. It gives you how they present themselves to the world. The signature it's the mask. And the real writing is the personality. For example, one of the best traits you can have in a partner is someone who, God be eternally praised, this is my wife. We've been married 37 years, and I still call her my first wife just to keep her on edge. But her handwriting and her signature absolutely match. In other words, her signature is legible. It looks like it was just written in her handwriting. That's it. That's one of the best, if not the best trait you can get in a relationship. The reason why is the signature is the personality on parade. It's a persona. When it matches the handwriting, the indication is there is no persona. What you see is what you get. And man, is that ever my wife. Love her or hate her, you get the real deal. There's no mask, nothing. And I value that. I value that kind of directness. Not everybody does. So look for that sort of thing. Likewise, a signature that is nothing like the handwriting shows the person is making much more of a presentation. That doesn't mean it's a negative thing. A lot of entertainers have that. You know, Liberace's signature was an entire piano drawn. I mean, it was unbelievable. There's a showman, and it's showing up in his handwriting. So the signature as well will tell you much about relationships. If you give me 10 couples, their signatures alone, I can tell you without fail which couple is on the brink of divorce and which are absolutely solid in the marriage. Here's how. When a woman marries a man and takes his surname, if she keeps the surname close to her first name, the marriage is secure. If she starts to put a space between the Mary and the Johnson, then she is emotionally distancing herself from him already. As the space grows, so will the space between them. It's a proven indicator. And here's another one. If a woman scratches out the surname and it's the same as her husband's, that's a real problem. It shows there's an issue between her husband and her. On the other hand, if a man crosses out the surname, it shows there's an issue between him and his father, because it's the same name. For example, when I worked in England, I used to do 12 hypnosis demos in 12 universities in 2 weeks. It was just exhausting. And we'd stay in Reading, and I had 2 friends from Thames Valley Police would drive me, take their holidays and drive me to all the events. One of them, Paul Giles, is one of the funniest people I've met in my life. He was 6'7", over 300 pounds, an enormous man, funny as hell. And people would say, well, you're not like any policeman I know. And he'd say, well, no, I'm a different sort of policeman. I'm a little bit woo, a little bit woo. So I traveled with this guy. A great sense of humor. One day in the car, he'd seen me do some handwriting stuff. And he said, can you tell me anything about my personality for my signature? And I explained the signature isn't the real personality. It's personality on parade. But I looked at his police warrant card. Here's how he signed his name, Paul Giles. Here's your first exercise. Figure this one out. I am not exaggerating. So I said, Paul, any issues between you and your father? He's driving. He goes, only every day for the last 30 years. Huge issues between him and his dad. And so you watch for this sort of thing. Any Xing in the signature is a bad thing. Any lines through your signature is a very bad thing to do. In fact, if you want to build a strong signature that is very hard to duplicate, make sure it's legible. It should be legible and done quickly. You never want to do a scrawl. People do these scrawls thinking they're harder to forge. I could teach a 5-year-old to forge your signature if you scrawl it. The banks don't look that closely. So make sure your signature is legible, and I highly recommend every one of you graphotherapeutically add this trait to your handwriting as of today. Always, never. Always underline your signature. Always, with a single left to right underscore, like this. One left to right underscore. Don't do right to left, because this is the past and this is the future. And any back to self strokes are withdrawal back to the past. People who are high achievers do strong single lines under, but not through their signature. So What you don't want to do is overcompensatory behavior, things like this. Okay, let me underline my signature like this. People do this sort of thing, and that's called a pedestal. Again, this is now overcompensation for feelings of inferiority. When I see someone who writes with their signature on a pedestal, I know they got problems with their self-image. If you really have, you don't really need to do that. So single underline. When I used to work with a lot of kids from Toronto Sick Children's Hospital, it's one of the premier kids hospitals in the world. Pediatrician there, Dr. Till Davey, used to send me ADD and ADHD patients because we had a different model and said that ADD and ADHD are not attention deficit, they're too much attention. Everything catches their attention. Flying squirrel, oh, robot, what's this? Oh, he's thinking shiny. And they can't go into trance. So we would create trance states anchored into the classroom. Kids would go back into class, zone out, enter their learning trance. Their marks would go up, and every single time the teachers would write back and say, he's not paying attention, he's daydreaming, even though his marks had gone up. So we had teachers prescribing Ritalin in Toronto. That's how bizarre this is all getting and where the control is getting strange. Don't get me started on that. But we told the kids, everyone who came in for treatment, I would get them to create a strong sense of self through a strong signature. And we told them to underline it. And the teachers fought with me and said, no, we don't want them underlining their signature. And I would send letters on my letterhead, he has to underline his signature. Yes, question? Because Milton Bunker discovered nearly 100 years ago that people who possess the trait we call self-reliance, the ability to go it alone, the ability to keep going as a rugged individualist, male or female, when you have to, that's what they always had, the single underline of the signature. So add it if you don't have it. If you do have it, make it nice and strong. Pressure counts.